Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I am Cactus, and this is another Overtalk. Tonight's subject is Season 2 and the new Mythic game mode. Now, we tried recording this beforehand with a different guest, but things fell through. However, tonight I have two special guests with me. Ventus is a returning guest, and Mira as a longtime runner. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Now to jump right into the fray, the new balance of Season 2. But before we discuss anything, Ramatra. Our thoughts, our opinions, what do we feel about his abilities, how does he stack and balance? Ventus, you go first.
I would say honestly, because I would have thought that upon seeing him upon release, I thought he was gonna be low key busted. It's what it was cracking up to look like with how they were presenting him to be, especially with his primary having no damage fall off, the fact that he can hit multiple people through barriers and shields, his alt, everything. I was like, it's busted. However, upon release, not gonna lie, I think he was just good, but he didn't feel like how he looked, which to me looked OP, like he would have to be nerfed immediately. I think honestly his primary completely can be inconsistent at longer ranges, so it's not that big of an issue. Him punching through barriers, honestly, I don't think that's much of an issue too much. Mainly because besides his ult, it's like, you can kind of push him back and other stuff. So I feel like him punching through barriers, I think multiple people, honestly, is not going to be, it's not too groundbreaking or at least too OP where I'm getting hit by him through a barrier. That doesn't really happen all the time. His shield, fine, whatever, another shield. His vortex thing, honestly, I thought it was going to have a longer range. Didn't. Totally fine. His ult is where I have a bit of an issue. I know they buffed it where he got a movement speed increase and Nemesis form, which I find can be a little bit problematic. Just because the only counters to it are either to find a way to stun him back or a shield. But half the time, and like, you have to get away because otherwise his ult, lasts forever. But it's like you just can't because he's running like full force at you, and it can be a little bit problematic just because you just don't have enough room to do anything. And on top of that, it being like overtime is also the big issue too, where it's like you have to touch, and if he pops his ult, you can't. So there's like some like little stuff about the alt that I don't like, but overall, after he was a bit underwhelming upon release and then getting his changes and stuff, honestly, not that bad. I feel like his alt might be tuned down a little bit, but overall, I don't think he's truly oppressive. But that also just could be stuff.
I'm just getting around to playing him in comp and playing him in general, and from what I can tell of interaction-wise, I think his normal gameplay is balanced. His ultimate is not balanced.
Yep.
And the charge that you get to your ultimate is not balanced either.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
His ultimate charges like it's an Overwatch 1 ultimate. It's like, oh, you get like maybe 4 ults in a match. Or like if I had to tie it to like a payload, you get maybe like, if it's a 3-point payload, you get maybe, if you're doing your job right, 8 ultimates.
Yep.
Like if you're just dominating, 8. If you're not, maybe 6. If you're kind of using it like when you get it, you pop it and you use it, and then you use it, and then you pop it, and then you pop it, and then you pop it, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
What I find to be really interesting, though, is Ramatra is super fucking annoying, yet really... he is and is not annoying as fuck. And the way that I preface this is his phase 1, when he has his normal shield, maybe the slowdown effect and his long range, fire, he's not annoying. You can just take him on. Reinhardt can swing, anyone can shoot at him, stun him, whatever. It's a little bit nimble, a little bit harder to hit, but nothing is like, kind of like Sigma. It's annoying, but it's not a pain in the ass up front. What I don't like, though, specifically about him, is that playing against him in his phase 1, he's fine. It's his Nemesis form that's annoying. Whereas Nemesis form, he gains an instant amount of armor, which then he can just soak up a bunch of damage, and then, be a tank. What I find very annoying about this, though, is that it can almost be used as like a better hog heal. You pop it, and whatever was going to be hitting you is now hitting armor. It's resisted, and it's not doing a whole lot. So I feel like you get it like cheapened quite a bit. If like you're about to kill him, oh, he popped Nemesis, I guess we have to deal with him for a little bit longer. And the other thing is that he can block, which reduces his damage quite a bit. I think it's by 50%. And combined with that instant shot of armor, it's just, he can just sit there. He can just sit there blocking the whole time and you can't do anything.
Yep.
You have to like either face him down with a Bastion and a Roadhog, or three people have to be focusing him down when he's blocking for it to do anything. What I find, though, is that playing him feels good to play. It feels good to play him. He's fluent. He has a good game. He has his direct counters and his direct non-counters. I believe his biggest counter is Overwatch 1 Orisa. Think of him like playing Overwatch 1 Orisa. If you get swarmed as old Orisa, you die. You have to play at range. You have to kind of play around corners. You have to sparingly use your abilities to confirm kills. And most of the time, her halt, just like Nemesis form, you're using to survive, not really to push. Because it's a horrible pushing technique. You bulk yourself up. You get it for maybe 8 seconds, but the issue is after you bulk up, you don't really want to push with it, because by the time you get over there, if you're damaged, now you're in your normal state, and all you have to protect yourself is a stationary shield that doesn't move, and a low damaging slowdown effect. Oh, and a kind of decently ranged attack that's shitty up close, so it's like, you play him super defensively. But, unlike Sigma, he's not good on defense. You have him on defense or any kind of defending map similar to Junker Queen, he can't do it. He just can't do it. He doesn't have enough sustain without good healers. Because unlike like Reinhardt or Orisa or Sigma, especially Sigma, he dies so easily. He only has maybe, I think it's 80, no, he only has like a measly like 90 armor or something, which is kind of like it's kind of like giving Doomfist overhealth. It's like, oh great, yay, I guess.
Yeah.
It doesn't do a whole lot. And he's just so weird. He's like this weird hybrid of old Orisa and new Sigma. Lastly, though, fighting him is a pain in the ass. Actually fighting him is a pain in the ass, as if you're playing Reinhardt, Sigma, or Monkey. So you're a shield user. Any shield user, it's a pain in the ass to fight him, because he can punch through your shield, and you're given no option. You either don't use your shield, but get exposed to the whole team, or use your shield and block the damage. But then, what do you get? You block the damage, but now you're getting punched in the face by Ramatra, dying slowly.
See, when you have like a Sigma, you said Winston and Ryan. I'm assuming you're meaning like the triple tank double support matches. What you do with your Monkey is while your Ryan and Sig is like entertaining the Ram and
Oh no,
keeping distance.
I'm not talking about like open queue.
Oh.
I'm talking one-on-one.
Well, Winston, all he has to do is just be like, "Oh, you're doing this? Okay, bye," and then just dive his
I mean,
supports. Because, like you said, without his supports, he can't survive. He's squishy as shit.
yeah, that is true. But then Ramatra has free reign on your backline, so
Well,
it's Monkey has a
Unfortunately, the only counter for that is to just dive with him, or at least like have like
Monkey has some ability to counter him. Mostly Sigma and Reinhardt get fucked over immensely, and
basically, anybody that can just burst him down. Diva's good at bursting him down. Winston, he can avoid whatever he's doing. Because
anyone that can keep
you gotta,
anyone that can keep the pressure onto him, anyone that
or they can,
can.
or yeah, basically keep the pressure, or they control the flow of the fight. And the best way to control the flow of a fight against a ram is having your own ram, because you don't want to be the first one to go into nemesis form, but that depends
I
on the
would
situation. If you
I would
can bait
actually say having a ram versus ram is a bad idea, at least in my opinion. In my
it
opinion, unlike Orisa, say for example, like Orisa, if you have two Orisas, you even out the playing field, and you both can't really do what you want to do, so you're kind of stuck just kind of holding a corner somewhere, playing like old Orisa. You can't really push because you both have the same ability, so it's up to
yeah.
your either if you're playing open queue, it's up to a second tank, or if you're playing by yourself, it's up to the DPS to really do the heavy lifting there. With Ramatra, he doesn't really counter himself at all. Like, you
I
slow him
mean,
down.
it depends on how you do it. Like I said, it's because Ramatra, he can't like overpower himself.
I
So
guess
you do a Ram versus Ram, it's more like you want to be the one that can, because Ram is very pokey.
I'd say a Ram versus Ram is like a Rhine versus a Rhine.
Yes,
You're
it's similar
waiting,
to that.
you're trying to bait something, but
Yes.
my issue with Ramatra, I guess, would come down to two specific things. When you're fighting against him, he's very annoying to fight because, like Sigma, he can stay in that fight forever if he plays his cards defensively. And my second issue with him is his ultimate. His ultimate charge is very fast for an ultimate that, while is very volatile, is very easy to counter if you focus him. The issue being, though, is most will use it when you're at low health, and it's an instant loss. It doesn't matter if you have a shield. If he just keeps running forward, it doesn't matter if you put your shield up. It doesn't matter if you stun him, whatever. You won't be able, as a tank, you just can't stop him. You either have to pin him as Reinhardt and follow him into the enemy team to throw him away from your team so he stops doing it, but you'll die. Or you have to just swarm him without dying. And it feels very an instant win. It's like firing a diva bomb into a team with no shield. It's an instant win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, he just runs in and everything just dies.
yeah, and with like the new buffs to him where he can run faster in it, like he gets like the slight speed boost. It's like you can't run away. And the thing is, it's either like you have to focus him at certain times because running away would just not like if he's running towards you, you can't run away, and unless you have a shield to block it, sure. But granted, a lot of shields are like very limited in how wide they are, so
I find him
it's
to
like you kind of
be.
just sit there. You like either go after him, but then if he's getting pocketed, then you have to make the choice of either go after the supports and hope you can get away or survive long enough to plow him down, or go after him. It's like a very like damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario.
Yeah.
What I feel could be one of one of the issues in fighting him is if you're not able to keep the constant heat on, he will roll you. He will just
Mhm.
roll you. You will not be able to get back up simply because his abilities make it so that it does not matter what you play, he can do some kind of damage to you. And I'm okay with them doing the piercing damage of shields thing. I'm okay with that. It does not a whole lot of damage, but what I worry about is that I worry that we're going to go down the rabbit hole of newer heroes are going to have some kind of piercing effects.
Yeah,
and it's going to
because we
start
already had that with Sojourn.
and it's going to start to make shields less viable. Because I know they wanted to step away from shields, but if shields get to the point where they're just useless, then games either become an instant coin flip of you are rolling or you get rolled. That's why shields are a good stopper to like Junker Queen, because she has to either deal with a tank or someone else. But now that we've talked about Ramatra, how do we feel about that balance patch? I think a speed boost is fine on paper. Although I think with his immense ult charge, I think they should just lower his ult charge. I think that would make it a lot better so he doesn't get his ultimate as much.
Yeah, honestly. I think I've seen clips where with punches, you can punch so many people and just get it fast.
Well, it's similar
Because
to
each punch is an alt charge, so
it's similar to Fire
you get a
Strike,
kill, it's extra. Yeah.
where like you just pop Fire Strike, pop it twice through a whole team, boom, you have your ultimate. Is Reinhardt. With same thing with punching. On the matter of punching, I want a better visual indicator of the length of my punch, because when you punch with him, you only see the fist. You can't really see the projectile afterwards.
Yeah.
I would like a better visual indicator of where that is, because it's in that range. It's in the weird range of it's a little bit longer than a Rhine swing, but it's not quite a Rhine. It's a little bit longer than a Rhine swing, but also not long enough for it to be like a beam territory, like Zarya or Symmetra.
Mm-hmm.
It's in that weird middle ground. Moving on to D.Va. How do we feel about D.Va? I knew she was a big issue in Season 1, but how do we feel about D.Va right now?
Coming
She's
from
fine.
yeah, as a diva main, fine. I think she only is not doing as well because of Hog, but granted, a lot of characters aren't doing well because of Hog right now. So I feel like she
Ironically,
can't really shine as much because of Hog. But I think honestly, in terms of balancing and everything, she's fine. Totally fine.
Honestly, I think D.Va's doing okay, but I think that's more because Ramatra can shut D.Va down pretty easily.
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, it depends on how your diva's playing, because if you can keep your distance from the Ram and burst him down with her missiles and then just kind of go after his supports, I can burst Rams down pretty well with D.Va. I have no issues with Rams as D.Va. I have no issues with Hogs as D.Va, and ironically enough, one of the counters for a Hog right now is a D.Va because of her DM and the fact that she can dive the backline.
The reason I say Ramatra could be a counter to D.Va, not his Nemesis form, his normal fire rate combined with where D.Va's crit box is kind of like Reaper countering a D.Va. If you can land those crits, which is really easy to do, if you can just land those like headshots in the middle of her body consistently with his beam, because his beam is pretty slow, making it perfect for D.Va, because if she flies either way, you can just kind of swerve it and it hits her anyway. She can be burned down so fucking fast.
Yep.
You also can waste your Matrix with it as too. Just fire straight into it and waste your fucking Matrix. How do we feel about Zarya?
She's been nerfed too much.
No, she's right back to the normal state she was before in Overwatch 1.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. She's
I
slightly
only think
buffed, but
I only think
They buffed her though.
they did. I think it's what was it? The cooldown? Or the duration?
It is
No,
the
it was her beam. Oh, it was something with her. I know her barriers. I don't know. I know. I
So
remember that her beam has. It takes a little bit longer to decay.
her
Yeah.
beam decay rate is slower. So it takes 3 seconds to start the decay, and then the decay is slower itself. So it doesn't decay as fast, and it takes 3 seconds after. I think it's when after you bubble with no more incoming damage. It's the initial bubble loss, and then it's like the initial bubble loss goes away, and then it starts 1, 2, 3, and then it starts to decay. But if you pop another bubble right there, you'll reset the decay rate. But she's back to Overwatch 1.
I think she's fine. Once again, I think it's just because Hog is really shining right now, and also because Zarya. I mean, although Zarya can counter Hog hooks if she times the bubble well enough, she's only limited to 2, and the rate that she gets them is just not enough to keep up with his 8-second cooldown. So I think honestly, Zarya is fine.
I think Zarya's
To
in
be
a.
honest, I don't think she got. I don't think. Yeah, she was nerfed because she was OP, and then she got a little bit too like she got too nerfed, and then they brought
I
her back
think
a little bit with
Zarya's
it.
in a similar situation that Doom is in right now, where if they buff them, they become overtuned. But if they nerf them, they become useless. So it's that really vital balance of trying to strike that perfect crit middle, but it's so hard. It's just so hard. Because if you give her too much bubble time, then she gets overpowered and can chain her bubbles together. But if you make her bubble time down too low, then she can't do that, and then she just dies to everything.
Yeah.
How do
But
we...
yeah, I think Zarya is okay right now.
Now, I know Anna's in a good spot right now, but do you think Anna needs to be buffed again?
No, I think she's fine where she's at.
I think she needs some more
Because
ammo. Ammo capacity in the clip. Not like overall ammo capacity, because that's infinite. I want her to have more ammo in the gun.
I would be okay with that, honestly.
Like 2 more
yeah,
bullets.
that can be understood.
Maybe, yeah, because I feel like sometimes it's like 15 just doesn't feel like it's enough at times. Just sometimes. I mean,
my issue with it is that,
I mean,
unlike Overwatch 1, the pace was a lot slower, so her healing, like, oh, I hit you, and then I healed. Oh, I hit you, then I healed. Where it's, like, slower like that, it could be okay. It's not super great anymore, and it's starting to really hinder her. I think she just needs, like, maybe 2 or 5 more shots.
I mean, that can be easily be fixed with doing controlled shots instead of spamming shots. Because there's times where you can spam into the team, but then there's times where if you control your shots, you're going to have more control over how much ammo you've got, and the chances of, because if you're just looking at your team, whether you're scoped or unscoped, and you start just kind of spamming into them, just holding it down and not controlling the shot, and when I say control the shot, I mean every time you shoot, you click.
Aiming the shot.
Because that enables you to have more precise. That has more of a precise hit than just spamming the shots.
I can see where you're coming from,
but
also either give her more ammo or make it so her healing activates faster. Because in a world where Baptiste can basically burst heal you to almost full, Moira can send an orb out that lasts for like ages, and Kiriko can cleanse you and then pump you full of heals. Everyone's healing is instantaneous except Ana, Lucio, and Moira's spray. Moira's spray heals over time And Lucio is obviously a healing over time. I guess you could count Brig technically, although it feels like she acts a lot faster when you hit someone. Ana just feels a little too slow when you heal. I'm okay with the damage being where it is, where you get hit, and it's not immediate damage, it's just a slow decay damage. But I would want it to be faster, not slower. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, moving on to our next subject, shields feel worthless with Ramatra in the game right now. How do you all feel about that statement? I think it's true. It feels, coming from a person who likes to play Reinhardt and Sigma, it feels like you just can't. It just feels like they're worthless. Since he can punch right through them, and you're left in a weird situation, like I said before, of you can shield him, but it really doesn't matter, because you're going to be taking the damage anyway.
Yeah, I think with this punch, there feels like there's no point. But even with his ult too, it's like he'll just run past you, and then your teammates can't be shielded. You can't really stop it. Maybe in choke points, sure, but once again, he can run past you and then just take out whoever's there, and you can't block it, you can't stop it. So I feel like people say pick a shield, but it's like, but he'll just run past. He'll punch through it. Like Winston's the only counter, I guess, in the sense that you can just dive past him.
I mean, Hog is
bubble, and even though he can punch you, it's not going to help his team getting taken care of. So it's like, yeah, but like once again, it's like,
but not just
that bubble
Ramatra.
will be gone before you know it.
Not just Ramatra. It feels like all incoming damage, any kind of damage. Whereas before, you could tank a few Hanzo shots. Before, it took Soldier to unload a couple clips into you to break your shield as Reinhardt or Sigma. Now it's, oh, Soldier unloaded half a clip, 2 arrow shots, 3 Junkrat bombs, and your shield is already either on Reinhardt half broken, or on Sigma it's already shattered.
Mm-hmm.
If your shield's broke on Sigma that quick, then you're not shield dancing correctly as Sigma.
I know. I know you got a shield dance. I'm just telling you, like when you get bursted down with a Pharah and a Junkrat, or a Junkrat and a Reaper, doesn't really matter. Your shield just done.
By that point, shield's not going to work. You're going to have to swap for your own survivability, and it sucks because shield does have a point to some of the maps.
Honestly, the only good shield that I can think of is Monkey Bubble. Even though Monkey Bubble is lower than Reinhardt, but in the middle of Sigma, like right in the middle between them, I think the only reason it's so good is because it's curved. It's a curved dome. You can enter it, and it creates so much space as a bubble, like a little dome, that I think it's the best shield out of all of them. Sigmas you're using more for your own self-protection, and even as Reinhardt is use it for your own self-protection and like a second health bar per se. Mm-hmm. I still think it sucks though, because like they buffed his armor, they buffed his health, but he's still not super great overall. I would like it if we're going in the direction of characters not having shields, or like Ramatra having a shield but it being basically stationary and can't do anything, or less shields, that you give the OG shield tanks more shield. Sigma I think is okay where he's at, although I'd like Reinhardt to have like 2,000 shield again. That would be amazing. Because like when you're Reinhardt, I notice especially when you try to like close the gap, to use your shield to close the gap, it just doesn't work anymore. There's too much damage. You just can't. So you either have to go on the flank and charge in, or you have to pseudo dive as Rhine. But if you're gonna pseudo dive, you might as well just pick Monkey and dive anyway. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What are your guys' thoughts on it? Mira.
Say if you want to go in, if you're using Rhine, you're going to be going for something just a little brawly. So you're going to want to have something to help get you in there fast. And one for having Lucio go with Rhine. I mean, it's like...
I mean, even with a Lucio, even though you're getting there faster, I don't think it's getting in. It's not the speed issue. It's just that
The more time they have to look and poke at your shield, the quicker it's going to break. So if you get to them faster than they can break your shield, that solves the problem.
I guess
Somewhat.
one part of my issue is Bastion is continuously always played. Every game that I'm in, there's always a Bastion. And Bastion just blitzes your shield down so fast. Combine that if there's a Junkrat there, or a Reaper, or a Soldier, or a Hanzo, or... It feels like the Shield Breaker, or like the Tank Buster, went from just a few to now everyone's a Tank Buster, except Sombra, or Tracer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even like getting closer, it just feels almost impossible to use him at times.
Yeah, Ryan really isn't in the best state right now because of like Ramantra. And I would even say Orisa too.
Orisa just fucks him, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Orisa fucking Ryan. Not in that way, goddamn perverts.
Okay.
But I'm okay with Orisa like spearing Ryan and being like his counter, because she was always his counter. You'd basically just rail into his shield and it would break. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is every tank can just kind of counter him now. Monkey can phase through. Zarya kind of has to play the pressure game with Ryan. Ramatra directly counters him. Hog will fuck him up with a hook if he tries to pin. As soon as you drop your shield, and if you're in sight of Hog, you have to either be good at juking it out, or really good on your timing to block that hook with your shield. It's doable, it's just real hard. Orisa's a direct counter. Diva feels like a nightmare for Reinhardt.
Yeah, because she can just plow your barrier down with her missiles and her primary, and then like once it's gone, Diva bomb, and what are you gonna do? Nothing really. Just go Zarya or somebody. No, I do think barriers are not in, like, just shields and stuff are just not in the greatest spot. Truthfully, they're just very underwhelming now, and I get why they had to make some changes to Overwatch 2, because with one less tank, you don't need as much shield because there's not another tank to bust it along with the whole team. So I get it, but like, it really sucks when Ryan is just not good right now, and his whole thing is the shield and hammer. So it's like you can't do anything. So because of that, they are going to have to make changes to some shields and barriers. But I feel like the only one I would be okay with they don't touch is Winston's. If they wanted to bump up it a little bit, fine. But like
Winton,
it would be okay. I mean, his is fine. I wouldn't really touch that. Ryan's, I would definitely buff up the health of it to make it a bit more impactful to use. Rather than just have like Ramatra, Junkrat, Bastion, and then like your shield's gone. Or like it doesn't even matter why you playing Ryan at that point.
I think the current meta right now for like really just destroying lobbies is Ramatra, Pharah, at least in roll queue, it's Ramatra, Pharah, Bastion, and then Kiriko, Lucio.
Yeah, or you could even do Kiriko, Mercy for the Pharah and the Bastion, and then Kiriko focus the Ramatra.
God, don't even get me started on the Mercy damage boost with Bastion. Fuck.
That, oh no, yeah, Rhyme Shield's gone. It's gone in 2 seconds. There's nothing you're doing.
Sigma eats it, puts up a shield, it's dead. Monkey tries to dive.
He's still going.
It's just firing a shit show right down a straight narrow path. What do you think, Mira?
Yep.
Just yep.
That's why I go May sometimes when I'm playing DPS. I just wall off the rest of the team and burst down the tank.
Now, I don't think I'm the only one saying this, but the game feels boring.
At times, yep. Very much a lot of times, yep.
And I say this as there's lots of changes in the game, but the game feels boring, mainly I think because the reward structure.
Yep.
The battle pass is doing better. It's getting better. The stuff in it is getting better. The stuff around it is getting better. What I don't like though is that when a skin costs just as much as when a skin costs double as much as the premium battle pass, and each skin is more than the premium battle pass by at least $10 or sometimes 20, that makes it very hard to want to even use skins. And then the battle pass itself is just a lot of meh. There's some good stuff on it, most of it's meh. It makes it very why do I play? Like we'll get into the competitive issues later on, but like some of the major issues being that there's no leveling system, so quick play is kind of useless. There's no like ranking system, so quick play is again kind of useless. The arcade modes aren't really arcade anymore. They're just the generic stock deathmatch with 3, deathmatch with 4, total mayhem, mystery heroes, and then more deathmatch.
And goats in majority of them. Mini goats in like almost all of them. So it's like you're always gonna see majority of the time 3 tanks, 2 supports.
And then you have competitive, where in roll queue you're kind of fucked because Ramatra's out right now, and open queue you're kind of fucked because Ramatra's out. Not in the way that Ramatra's super overpowered, in the way that everyone's trying to play Ramatra in comp right now, and because of that, people aren't really good with Ramatra right now, so if you get a ram, you're kind of fucked. That it needs really dedicated healing to do well. So the game's just kind of boring. It's not really fun to play. There's no incentive. What do you think, Mira?
I think they could be adding more.
Have you been enjoying the game still, or are you getting bored with it?
I mean, some of the modes that they've been in, the battle for Olympus was interesting. I mean, some of the modes that they've been introducing, like the newer stuff. One was I guess it was like the winter thing, and then the battle for Olympus. That's kind of interesting. I mean, if they're going to keep introducing new things, I think it would benefit them if they keep doing it and introducing more like events like this. Maybe not attached to a battle pass. I don't know if it's attached to it, but even if it's like in between battle passes and it's not even something that's planned or people know about, I think it would benefit them to have more events like that, because it's kind of fun. It's kind of interesting because
I just wish you could play it with your friends.
Yeah, that would be kind of neat. I mean,
because like there's so many times I'm like, oh hey, I want to play the new game mode, and it's like, well, I can't play with friends. Fuck it.
Yeah. Because some of the things that they have going on with that, it's actually not bad. Like I found some of it funny.
I hear the final blow stuff is kind of shitty though.
Yeah, it is. Very much, especially if you don't play one of the characters. You're like, what am I doing? Like, I don't play Lucio at all. I don't know how to play Lucio. My aim is not the greatest, so I'm struggling. So with that, but I personally am bored, especially because there are like no rewards, barely any. the weekly stuff where you can get 60 coins a week does not do it for me. There is anything rewarding about doing quick play. The only thing that's rewarding is comp, and you get comp points, rank, titles, other stuff, fine. But even then, it doesn't get me excited to do my next match. And Mira and I were playing today, and I had realized, because I was on like I had like almost all of my I had all my dailies done. I had, I think, all but one weekly done for challenges for XP and stuff. And out of playing from like noon to like 5:30, I went from level like 111 to like I think like maybe like 123 from noon to 5:30. So I'm sitting there like, there's nothing. I feel like I'm getting nothing. And on top of that, it's taking me forever to do the battle pass. So I feel like it's just more tedious and more annoying to do, and I don't get fun out of playing the game.
Speaking of the battle pass, we'll get to the battle pass nerf in a bit, but we can bring it up right now. The battle pass nerf. They nerfed battle pass experience. You don't get any bonuses for being in a group anymore. You don't get any bonuses for playing arcade mode or for playing quick play, by the way. And you don't get a bonus for playing quick play and winning. The only bonus you get is for winning the match and getting consecutive wins. But it's the same XP bonus no matter what you're playing.
Damn, that sucks for me who solos a lot, and you don't really get to choose whether or not your partners are good, or even if your friends are like, you're like, having consecutive wins, especially as a solo player, doesn't happen all the time. It's like a coin toss.
They also changed the way that 20% works. It used to be that 20% was, it would take 20% of whatever like the final number was, with all the boosts calculated together, and then it would give you an extra 20% of whatever that is. Now it's an unboosted number with which you get. So it's maybe like, I think you get 100 extra experience every time you win. The unboosted win, how much experience that is, 20% of it, and then you're given it. Instead of the total number that you got. So that sucks.
Yeah, I just don't feel like I want to grind the whole battle pass, but it's like there's not a lot of incentives to do so after doing dailies and weeklies. Maybe the odd challenge and like the events are competitive.
It would take you.
Those are done.
It would take you 6 months of doing weekly challenges just to afford one battle pass.
And 60 coins a week.
6 months, half a year, just to afford one battle pass with the coins.
How much a battle pass is?
Battle pass are $10, 1,000 coins to get the premium. Premium plus 20 tiers is $20. And then, let's see here. So that means if you wanted to buy a skin for $20, you would have to wait a whole year of just doing weeklies. Let's go on skin.
Yeah, that's complete bullshit. I'm like, it's like nothing.
What I don't like is that what I find absolutely ridiculous is that games like Fortnite, for example, you can get the fucking battle pass for $7 in Fortnite. It's $7, you buy it, and in that battle pass, as long as you complete it, which takes about the whole like 3 months period, you complete the battle pass, you can buy the next battle pass because you got enough currency to buy the next one.
Just once again shows Fortnite remains supreme when it comes to its battle passes. Will always remain supreme. Nothing will top how good it actually can be. And even then, some skins get back into the shop on a regular basis. So it's like, oh, you missed out on a skin or something. Oh, you can just buy it later.
Mira, how do you feel about the battle pass stuff?
I think it's overpriced, and I think that if they're smart, they will, like
They
how they've been
did.
doing.
Oh, go ahead.
I
Go
I
ahead.
think that if they're smart, they will continue to nerf the price of the battle pass because a lot of people aren't happy with how long it's taking to complete it. And this is also, in regards to skins. They'll, if they're smart, they'll do them. If not, then they fucked up.
Yeah, there's 21 days left to complete the battle pass.
And it took me from noon to 5:30 to go up roughly 12 levels without
Now-
any XP mark.
Now, also remember, so they did say they're gonna be changing the rewards that we have in choice for, because when asked if how the battle pass is gonna go in season 3 onwards, they stated that they want to give us more choice. That doesn't mean that they're gonna give us anything new. It just means we're getting more choice instead of coins, which doesn't really solve the issue. It just means, oh, you can maybe get coins or a spray or something. It's like, that doesn't solve the issue, Blizzard. I just think it'd be so much easier if they just gave us maybe like 120 coins for completing the weekly challenges. Because, like, at least at the end of that, you have maybe 500, get like 400 or something. Yeah, about 480, and 480 the next month. So then you just hit in 2 months about 1 battle pass. Sure, that's kind of shitty, but like at least you can hit it in 2 months rather than, the one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Moving on to the next thing, how do y'all feel about CTF Comp now being an official comp? No longer arcade, it's official. Competitive CTF is now in Overwatch.
Wasn't there also competitive Lucio Ball too?
There was, but it was
There
was an arcade mode that wasn't treated as comp. Now there's an official comp mode for CTF that looks like it's going to be staying for this foreseeable future.
It's funny.
Yeah. Completely random talking about that competitive Lucio Ball. My friend, who never plays comp at all, it's just too toxic for them. They don't play it. I'm like, understandable. The only time they played competitive was Lucio Ball, and they got to Diamond, which was hilarious to me. But I probably still won't play it because Capture the Flag. The only time I ever enjoyed a Capture the Flag type of game was in Halo. That was the last time I ever enjoyed doing Capture the Flag.
Oh god, the queue times are awful. 12 minutes per match.
Yeah, nope. I'm sorry. I lose interest fast.
Oh, and the servers, they're not good either right now. We'll go into that right now. Servers suck in Overwatch 2 right now. Fuck, god, I hate the servers. I have a decent internet connection, and most of the time I'm dealing with 300 ping, so I'm rubber banding everywhere. But what I don't understand is quickplay. Quickplay's the worst. I get like 600 ping in quickplay, and then in comp I get 300 ping, and then for whatever fucking reason in Total Mayhem it's perfectly fine, a good old 60 frames per second.
Yeah, I'm not connected to the through Ethernet on my Xbox, but my Xbox is literally just a few feet away from my router. Terrible. Granted, console just sucks in general when it comes to Overwatch and a lot of like FPS games. Because I've seen clips of people play on like Switch or like just another console, and even people on like PS5s will say like it's god awful. I'm like, damn. I'm like that. I'm just like, you are having internet issues on a PS5.
Their netcode is awful. It's just really fucking bad.
The only time I had good ping was when my brother's PC was connected to Ethernet. That was the only time.
What I don't understand is why did Overwatch 1, I'm running it flawlessly in Overwatch 1 on an old 2012 rig, fine ping. Overwatch 2 comes around, maybe it's a graphics issue. Nope, I'm running on a new rig right now. CPU is 45%. When it's like all my stuff is low when I'm running the game. It's barely pushing my system. I have everything at the lowest graphics because that's how I play. Lowest graphics, NVIDIA plus boost. System is like, barely running it. When I say barely running it, I don't mean like it's oversaturating the system. Like, I mean, it's not taking very much to run it. No, just the game is fucking awful at processing code. The latency's so shit.
Yeah, and I think I had a thought and I lost it. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. Especially since on my brother's PC, even though my brother's PC can run like Overwatch at a very beefy rate, like very beefy. Like I've run it at Ultra and had no problems whatsoever. Like everything. Like I like that's how beefy it is. However, I still bring it down to low just so it makes the computer work less, and my brother just got Ethernet. He moved his his PC from one side of the basement to his room, and he was connected through Ethernet through the basement. So when he went to his room, he didn't have it, so his internet speed was a bit worse. So I never really had an issue when I was in the basement, but when he went up, even though our internet's fine, I was running it low, I still had issues, and I'm like, I can't wait until his Ethernet's back in because it has no problems then. But it's like I don't understand I just don't understand servers sometimes because it like gets frustrating too when like everything's running fine and all of a sudden there's a hiccup and then next thing you know you're already respawning before you even saw yourself die and you're like, what happened?
I would be okay. I just want it to be consistent. That's all I want. I just want consistency because like you'll get in the fight, like you'll be out of the fight, everything's running fine. You'll get in the fight, and there's so much visual effects going on that it feels like I'm going into a clusterfuck of an LSD trip, and then my PC just goes and rises up, lag spike, and then you either end up dead or you survive. Like it feels like I'm in a Smash tournament right now against 8 players Smash. How do you feel about it, Mira? Any issues with lag on your end?
It's it's not been too horrible. I think my ping has reached up to like it reached up to around 200, but that was because I was playing with somebody, one of my friends that's located in Japan, and then I think the highest I've reached, well, I'm trying to think here. There's a couple times where the ping just kind of went off the roofs, but it was also affecting everybody in the match, so it wasn't just me.
Yeah, I've been having that too, where like I'll join, it'll be me, like Cyrus, and maybe like 2 others, like Battle Goat, and I'll be playing with them, and 300 ping, 300, 400, 500 ping. It's like, why? Why are we all why are the servers so shitty? It's not just me. Other people are experiencing the same issue that I'm having, where it's like 500 ping per game. It's like, why? Why is this game like this? Why is it so fucking shitty that the servers can barely run the game? I don't understand. But moving on, the Mythic game mode, I think we already kind of covered that. Comp, though. How do we all feel about normal comp?
I think it's just the same toxicity as ever, but nothing really to me has changed. I mean, nothing too crazy. I mean, I'm back up to almost diamond, so like for some reason, some people this time around were a bit better. whatever the reason that is. But comp right now, fine. I don't really see an issue. I mean, toxicity is bad as ever. But that's always been a thing in Overwatch and every other FPS game, to be completely honest. So it's like nothing new. I really only play roll queue for comp. If I do open queue, I'm just doing it just to do the placement. But that's about it. I don't really play comp for any other reason, but I don't play comp a whole lot because a lot of the people that I play with are on PC, and I'm on my Xbox most of the time because my PC account is on my brother's PC, and he is on it most of the time whenever he's not at school, so I can't really just hop on to comp real quick. So I'm always on quickplay on my Xbox. So, but
Now, what do you think, Mira? What's been your comp experience?
Been a little wonky, but that's normal, I guess. It's putting me against plats and diamonds when I solo queue, so that's fun.
Yeah, I've been getting stuck up with, I'm still in silver. I've been trying to crawl my way out of silver. Each time I place, I get placed in silver 1. Oh, silver 1 again? Oh, silver 1? Oh, joy, silver 1 again? Oh, wow.
I
But,
think I saw somebody post I think they may have been in gold. I'm not too sure. But it was they had placed no, they weren't plat. I think they were like plat 4, and they did their placements and they went 7 and I think like 12 or 13. They're like, there's no way I don't D rank. Like I have to. They go up to plat 2.
yeah,
Like
so
literally
the
like
MMR,
not in 4K.
your SR doesn't matter. Blizzard confirmed in an article, of their own volition and their own writing, we do not count your SR for anything in competitive. That emblem is worthless. We only count your MMR. So you could be in platinum, but have the MMR of, say, a gold, and be stuck in games with plats with a gold MMR.
So why am I playing comp then?
Exactly. And they also shunt your MMR down a rank. Well, no, they shunt your SR down a rank, which then forces you to play with the other. So you could, for example, be platinum, your MMR, you'd be shunted down to gold, you're stuck in gold because you're playing against golds that are supposed to be in platinum because they have a platinum MR, but a gold rank of SR, and then you get up to platinum, but your platinum is actually diamond lobbies, not actual platinum lobbies. So now you're going off against some plats and some diamonds, and it's just not good. It's so confusing at times. Combine that with SR numbers still exist, but they're not being shown. But the SR numbers are now equated to emblems, and those emblems are in silver 1 through 5 or gold 1 or gold 5 through 1. And each number is tied to those emblems, but they're very specific. So if you're like gold 5, you can't play with a gold 3, or you can't play as a gold 3 with a gold 1. But that's all the background stuff. And the only thing you can see are these vague rank estimates.
They really butchered their comp scene, didn't they?
And it's proven that you can still track it because they have like, there's pros that'll like subtract SR and add SR based on the old system. The SR system still works. It's just hidden from you now. So in competitive, you can't see the secret number of your MMR, which dictates your rank. You also can't see the SR number go up and down, which doesn't help at all with your rank, but gives you some indicator if you're doing good or bad. And the only way your MMR increases is if you bring your SR up to another rank and force the MMR to be dragged up with you. Making competitive very grindy and not competitive at all. Kind of like it's almost like a mobile game where you infinitely grind. Kind of like League of Legends.
I heard somewhere that the the SR, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember when it was, but everybody's ranks got really fucked up.
Yeah, because they
Um,
forced D-rank at the beginning of every
or no,
season.
no, it wasn't at the beginning of the season. It was after the beginning of the season. Everybody's rank got a little fucked, and there was like, and it's supposedly it's a confirmed glitch with the fucking SR thing. So what you're showing as your SR isn't what you're supposed to be.
Yeah. It's I think it was they had a bug in the counter, so the counter wouldn't count your wins all the time. So if you won, sometimes it wouldn't count the win, so it would leave it blank. So that when you go to rank up or rank down, it doesn't actually rank you. It shows that you ranked up, but the emblem, but your actual emblem didn't rank up.
Yeah.
So like I had that before where like the picture was white and it didn't show anything when I won the game, but then when I went to go rank up I ranked up, but like then I ranked down immediately afterwards. On like the next rank up I got like sent back to that rank and it was like a back and forth of going up down up down up down up down and it's just bad.
The one that I had was I was gold 1. No, it was gold 2. And then it boosted all the way up to like plat 4, and then it bottomed out to silver 5. No, not silver 5, but silver 1.
I will say
So I'm
though,
just,
oh go ahead.
and that was like all in like I had won my 7th match and I was waiting for the thing to, finalize, and it kind of did this weird glitch where it showed where it was the gold 2, then it went up to plat 4, and then glitched out to silver 1.
Now I will say I've gotten, I think it's fucked the new competitive point system where every win you get, you only get 15 points in competitive, whereas before you would gain competitive points based on your performance. Where if you were doing really good and you kept getting better and better, you'd get more and more competitive points. No, it's just a
Yeah.
fixed 15 no matter what. Which sucks because it takes forever to get like, it takes forever for you to get like enough to get a gold gun now. 15 points. I wanna calculate that real quick.
Yeah, I feel like I play so many
That
comp
would,
games and win. And
it would
yeah.
take you, let's see here. It would take you 200 consecutive wins to get a gold gun. 200 wins.
Are we assuming that we have none?
Yes. If you don't have any,
Okay.
you got to get 200 wins to get enough comp points to get one gold gun.
Which at that point you just be in top 500 at that point.
But for every like what? So like for every 20 games you play, you're supposed to win like 5 games. So we'll say out of every 15 you win 5. So that would take you 200. Let's see if it's 15 and you got a 5, that's 10. 10 losses, so 5 games, 10 losses. You guys talk about the next subject while I quantify this in my brain. Quick play. How do you guys feel about it? Talk about it while I try to do this.
Okay. Quick play. It feels more sweaty than comp. I've faced way more toxicity for no goddamn reason. Literally happened today with Mira and I.
Yeah.
I literally like I'm like, oh my gosh, the whole thing about Overwatch is you counterpick for a character. If somebody's having a little bit of an issue, you kind of just switch, or you just switch to maybe counter a character or a couple characters. Well, I'm playing tank, and this other tank was always counterpicking. Like I'll counterpick them, and then they counterpick me, and then I counterpick that, and they counterpick me, and they purposely would wait until I switched and then pick my counter on purpose. And then at the end, after we lost, they're like, well, "So you wanted to play the counterpick game? I played it for you." And then it was like being toxic, and I'm like, "It is quick play. It is quick play. I don't need this right now. Literally go back to what, like your gold, maybe plat lobby, because you are getting nowhere. Like, like, tell me how's your job going? Are you dating somebody? Have you touched grass today? Go outside.
Did you hug your
Have
butt?
you eaten grass?
Did you
I am
did you hug
done
your
with
body
it.
pillow and suck and sulk about your life? By the way, calculated
Like,
it.
did you do your taxes? Like, go do something else, because I'm just trying to have fun. And Overwatch's whole thing is you counterpick and choose what is can counter another character. That's been the whole thing ever since Overwatch became, like, since it was released, and since it was just getting new characters, because different characters were made to counter other characters. That was the whole point. And I'm
So
like, chill.
I don't mean to interrupt your ramble, but the calculations are done. 600 games. You're gonna play 600 games before you get that. Before you get those 200 wins. So if you assume that out of 15 games you get 5 wins, but the rest are losses, it'll take you 600 games to get you to that point.
Yeah, that's a pretty long time.
And I have like
That to me just feels like it's not enough to play comp. It's just not enough to play comp.
It's atrocious, I know. Next up, how do we feel about the hog changes coming around? Anyone got an idea of what it might be?
Are they nerfing him?
Yes, they're
Yes.
they're reworking him.
I think he's probably gonna be busted upon that rework, to be honest. Because if anything with Sombra's rework is an indicator, then it's gonna be. It might probably be busted.
I don't mind if he does damage. What I think would just here's my thing. You keep the one shot, but add 5 more seconds to his hook.
No, don't keep the one shot. Jesus
No.
Christ.
Hold on. Hear me out. So how long is his hook in total cooldown? What is it like?
8 seconds.
8 seconds. So you keep the one shot in, because the current issue is that he has a one shot, but he gets it every 8 seconds. That's pretty big if you hit every hook. And you can't one shot a tank, but you can make him pretty damn low. So what if instead you kept the one shot, but the one shot took 12 seconds? Or if not 12, like 15 seconds. 15 seconds per hook. You give him a little bit more health. You increase the time that it takes for him to hook targets. So now his one shot goes from a one shot every 8 seconds to a one shot maybe every 15 seconds. And in most fights take place in 30-second intervals in Overwatch. So maybe he'll get one hook per team fight. And if he
Depends
doesn't,
on if he's running a Kiriko with him too, because if say Kiriko does her rush thing, he's gonna get his hook off a little bit more, and that's a possible 1, 2, 3 by the time, like, say he hooks before rush, hooks during rush, hooks after rush.
well, how long does rush
Not
last?
including the people. Theoretically in my head, I don't know, but it also decreases the timer on cooldowns too. So
Let me look that up real quick.
I don't know.
Rush.
I don't know. I don't like the one shot. Like, he can literally one shot every character except for tanks.
So the
depending on the
cooldown
tank.
reduction, let's see, is
Kitsune Rush lasts for 10.5 seconds.
okay,
Yeah,
and it
so-
reduces your cooldowns by 1 second. It reduces your cooldown by, let's see, uh, trying to look for it. No one's listing the exact number.
I can tell you.
Okay, tell me.
Give me 1 second.
But no, I personally don't think Hog being a tank.
Okay, so the cooldown is they already nerfed the cooldown reduction from
They did.
they nerfed it so it's only 2 times now. There's a 1.5.
Mhm.
It's still a lot.
So 2 times. So if his hook was 15 seconds, he can get 1 hook off at the beginning. But I'm saying he has the potential. So if we're in this scenario that he's a perfect hog, right? Perfect hog hits every shot, gets the 1 shot every time on a squishy, right? He would get, by the time Kitsune Rush is over, he gets 1 hook. And if he fucks that 1 hook up, then he doesn't get another one for... By the time it would end, he would have to be waiting 12 seconds. So even at that, he gets 2 hooks. I guess what I'm saying is, like, every team fight, he gets 1 hook. And even if it's a one-shot, I'd rather have him get 1 hook every 15-second team fight than have it be a hook every 8 seconds. Because I feel then at that point, then you could, like, base it around his tankiness. It's kind of like... Again, I wouldn't like the one-shot to be in there, but I'm thinking in terms of what Blizzard might do, and knowing how Blizzard likes to nerf things very, very slowly, I think adding a large amount of time onto his hook would probably make the most Blizzard sense in terms of balancing. But what I would like instead of the one-shot, you keep his damage the same, right? So you... Well, no, you don't keep his damage the same, but keep hook where it is. You lower his damage by about... I'd say 25. So it does around like 100 at max ramp up, and maybe around 80. Well, not 80 because it can take a 200. So it does 200 up close at maximum. So if you took it down like 50 points of damage, you have a 250 at max ramp up, or around 150. So someone gets hooked, they get hit for half their health. So you lower his damage, but you increase his tankiness. Because when I think hog, I think the utter... Because like when I think tank, in terms of hog, I'm thinking pure meat shield. Whereas like Reinhardt is the pure shield tank, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you want hog to survive longer. So increase his health and increase his heal. Increase his health. Don't touch his heal. Lower his damage. Hook stays the same. Except it's not a one-shot anymore. It's, I hooked you, you're getting hit for a lot of damage, but I'm doing half your health bar instead of all your health bar. Does that make sense? Which would make him more of a cleanup killer rather than a direct killer. Similar to Diva missiles,
As
where
it
you
is
can...
right now,
Go ahead.
Because as it is right now, he's just a DPS cosplaying as a tank, you know?
Isn't
I
that Doomfist
personally
though?
don't.
In the right hands, yeah.
You were saying Ventus?
I feel like honestly, I feel like no tank should have a one shot really. Um, especially on his being an 8-second cooldown, and you literally cannot do anything about it. And I know people will say like, oh, like it Hog's hook punishes bad positioning. Well, when I get hooked between three of my teammates through the floor out of Narnia, that's when I have an issue. That's when I'm like, and then I get one shotted on top of that. So it's like,
But
to be honest, I don't think any tank should have a one shot. I
what
don't understand
I'm
why. They are do so much damage now
so I
that
can
why.
understand it in Overwatch 1. In Overwatch 1 I can understand why he was made the way he is, because in Overwatch 1 there's two tanks. It's harder to flank, it's harder to do his job. He gets shut down pretty easy. If he heals, he has to stand in place. He's not super tanky, and most DPS can eat him for breakfast. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Giving him the one shot, I can understand because he's a really good off tank, but if he's face down with a main tank, he just doesn't live. In Overwatch 2, though, they gave him more tankiness without removing the one shot that made him so powerful. But I'm thinking in terms of Blizzard balance, what would you think about a 15-second hook? Would that change anything for you, or would that just make it less frustrating?
It would probably make it just less frustrating. I would prefer his hook to be more about displacement rather than like an instant kill. Like I would be okay if he hooked and instead of only doing like 90-degree angle, if he did a 180, like say like you're okay, so say you're like on a push map and there's everybody there and he gets a hook. Instead of it being like a one shot, it would be a bit nicer if they were like if it truly would punish bad positioning. If he hooked and would put that enemy towards the team, because then it's like it's not a one shot, but it's like it would be more about displacement and like, okay, you were just in a bad spot, I'm gonna punish that, rather than it be like you semi in a decent spot still get hooked. I mean, they would have to fix mechanics about how hook works, because I think hook's kind of, in terms of actually using it, is busted, because like it should not be doing what it should be doing. But
So,
I would be okay
the
if
weird
you
issue.
couldn't one shot, but if you could displace people who are in
The issue that a lot
truly
of
in a bad.
people. The issue that a lot of people have is that hook is a square hitbox on a curved hook. So there's a lot of empty space, similar to Rhine Pin, where it's just a big square hitbox, even though it's like when you get when you get vacuumed to Ryan when he's like charging, where
Mm-hmm.
you were just near him and then you got sucked in by his gravitational pull. It's
Did you
similar,
teleport to like being pinned?
yeah, similar to that. The current issue with Hog Hook right now is he sucks on a lot of the newer maps because a lot of the newer maps have so much shit in them. They're just cluttered with every little tiny rock and crevice that getting a hook with Hog is near impossible because the edge of the hitbox that was below the hook got caught on a rock and so it snapped back to you. I just want him to be more tanky, and I'd be okay if they made his like hook. I guess going off your idea, what if they made it so he had better control over his hook? So you know, like hogs can like hook you and then like turn, and you'll be like at the end result be like shoved over like a corner or whatever. What if they made it where like they hooked you and as you were coming in they could sway you across somewhere, like swing you out of position?
Yeah, like a better like Hook 1.0. Like it's like, okay, let's take
Like
how
almost
busted that
like a
was and
whip.
make it
Like
more
you
balanced.
whip someone and like they like drag them out and then throw them over, or they can hook them towards you. Like you still get brought towards the hug, but I would much rather like it if like his you remove the one shot, but you allow him to either displace the enemy by swinging them and throwing them somewhere, or you can bring them towards you, like an ult fire almost.
Yeah, something like that. I would be okay if his hook was more about displacement rather than just getting a quick, easy, like quick pick that probably shouldn't have hit. But I would be okay with that. I don't know what else they would do, honestly. Because I think they said soft rework, so it's not like they're changing his whole kit. Just something about hook and maybe might give him a different ability or something. I feel like both his abilities are like some of the best abilities in the game right now because it's like hook is hook, and then his breather heals him a lot of health and has half damage reduction. So it's like, yeah, he can be stunned by Orisa, which is why Orisa's played, but like they kind of go toe to toe rather than Orisa counters Hog.
I would like it if his
So
heal. Here's what I would think would be a really good change. You remove the one shot, so like he can't one shot anymore, which means you're going to be decreasing his damage on his like gun. But what if they made it so his heal was unstunnable?
I mean, that would be okay. Or maybe even if he would get stunned, it still has a lingering effect of it still healing, something like that. Or like it just like kind of like you heal, but if you're stunned, it kind of just has like you're still healing a little bit rather than like a full thing. That
Well,
I feel like could be okay.
well, we're at the
That's fine.
end.
I don't know what else they would do because I'm trying to think of how Hog is, and his whole thing is his breather and hook. So I don't know
His
what else they would do.
Hug's whole thing is the whole point of Hug is he's supposed to survive the longest. He is supposed to survive in a fight and deal high damage. I think so. Like the reason he was made is he was made as a tank that can take on a shield tank or take on another tank in a 1v1 fight and have the upper hand. He does a lot of damage and he can survive for a long time. That's kind of his like little thing. Like he can flank around, do a lot of stuff. Very versatile. But if there's a high damaging enemy and he doesn't take them out fast, they'll just kill him outright. Moving into Overwatch 2, though, they gave him more health, a better heal, but they didn't remove that one-shot capability. So you're going to have to reduce his damage somehow so that he doesn't one-shot, or make it so if you're hooking someone, it no matter how much damage you do, it leaves them at like 25 health or something. I guess my thing is, how do you make Hook satisfying, though, if that's the case? Like, if you leave them at, like, 25 health remaining, that doesn't make Hook super satisfying anymore.
I still think though. I mean, however
like,
they change is however they change it. As long as they take away the one shot and they give something back that does make it more impactful and less annoying to play against, then I'm fine with it. I still don't think a tank should have a one shot because that to me is too much damage, especially since not even Sigma can, like, people who can do, like, Ryan's pin got nerfed where it was, I think it's 225 instead of 250. So it's like Pod can do more than that. Sigma's combo, it's like it works on any squishy if he rocks, hits a couple times, dead. It doesn't work on Reaper, it doesn't work on Mei, it only really works on a squishy.
How would you
Whereas
feel
Pod's
about
hook can kill anybody who isn't a tank.
how would you feel about a pseudo thing where he can, where for example you throw your hook out, you grab someone, but they can't get away from you as long as the hook is on them until you recall the hook. Like they can only run a certain distance from you. Like not like a stun, more like a, hey, I'm grabbing you and running in this direction, you're forced to come with me. So, like, what I
That would be
mean...
going more toward Hook 1.0. Although,
No,
well,
no,
Hook,
no.
Hook had
Hold
Hook.
on. What I'm saying here is so you lower the damage, doesn't have a one shot anymore. It does less damage, whatever. What I'm saying is you hook someone, so like you hook an Orisa. The hook stays on them. They can't get more than 2 meters away from you because the hook is pulling them. It's like keeping them there. You know what I mean? Like you've hooked into their flesh, it doesn't immediately get pulled back. They're just staying in there for a certain amount of time in that range, unless you pull them closer. I think that would
I
make
think it'd be
him.
funny.
I think that make him more of like a crowd control kind of thing, where you hook Tracer and the Tracer isn't able to recall or get away. They're still hooked. They can move around when they're hooked. It's just they can't get a certain distance from you when the hook is in them.
That could be okay.
That kind of reminds me of when the beta came out. They were fucking around with a lot of shit. And one of the things they messed around with was Junk Trap. You got in Junk Trap, it didn't immediately kill you, especially if you were a tank. Well, if you were a tank, it didn't kill you.
It would snap onto
But
you, and you would be able to move a little bit in it, and then you'd just
it
be really
slowed you.
slow.
It was, yeah, it basically, it was a slowing effect. What you're saying kind of reminds me of that, and it kind of makes sense a little bit because you're yoinked to them and you can't move very far and you're just kind of like locked in place, and it could work.
I'm not saying they'd be locked in place. More what I'm trying to get around is you throw the hook out, say it hits Cassidy, okay? He's the max 2 meters from you. He can move closer to you, or he can try to move left or right, but he can't move any further back. And if you pull him closer to you, he can't move any further back than that. So, like, you get a pull, maybe he's a meter closer to you. He can't move any further than a meter from you. He can get closer, or he can move left or right in that meter, but as long as you're standing still, or if you move, he has to follow. You're being dragged with him. You know what I mean? And maybe it lasts for 4 seconds or something.
I think it would be pretty funny if it kind of worked almost like a lasso. If you hooked them and then just slowly brought them towards you. I think it'd be a funny visual thing just to see a hog hook and then just pull, pull, pull. That I think would be funny, but that's just me being a little goofy. But I mean, if it was I would be okay with that, or if it was truly about displacing somebody, so putting somebody who was in position out of position, or doing something where maybe you can push the tank towards your team, so that way they can be plowed faster. And
well, like I said, like almost like a lasso, you can like throw them around the arena, like a fucking whip, like Indiana Jones.
Like kind of take what like Hook 1.0 was, but make it way more balanced. Rather, like instead of just being hooked forever, just have it pull them enough to where they're out of place. Or even if somebody's like a Genji is like in the back, like Nano Blade, you could just grab them and pull them away. Too, you could do something like that if somebody's trying to flank.
If they do remove the one shot, I want Hook to be longer. I want to be able to hook further.
That I would be okay with. I still think they would have to fix the hitboxing stuff because it's kind of dumb how it works now, where it literally will go through other people to hit you, and I'm like,
imagine
how is that even possible?
Imagine when they come out and they nerf Genji. Oh, we wanted to change Hog, nerf Genji.
I'm shocked that they said that the DPS passive that made you have faster movement speed was the reason why Genji was doing so well, and they took that part of the DPS passive away and still kept Genji's nerfs. That I don't get it. Like, I find Genji annoying. I find Genji players annoying. But, like, come on. Like, seriously? Like, you said the DPS passive was the issue, and you didn't give Genji anything back after you took it away. What?
Because Genji is Genji, and Genji's life should be hard.
It's like there were like Cassidy took forever to nerf. Like he just went for a couple years with his flashbang and everything about him, just not touched at all for years. But Genji's good for 2 weeks, and suddenly we have to nerf him.
They should keep nerfing Genji. I want Genji nerfed into the ground.
I find him annoying. Don't get me wrong, but it's like
I want him.
Please just make him decent enough to not be able to deal with.
I want him. I want him nerf. Well, the issue with Genji is similar to Ramatra. His ultimate is the issue. If they're gonna nerf Genji, just nerf Blade, please.
I would only say though that I feel like Nano Blade is the big issue too with that, because Genji's blade normally it's like it can be destroyed if like at least like an Ana or like some like one or two of the supports is protecting whoever's getting targeted. Blade is awful, but then like Nanoed, it's like what the fuck do you do? Except if you have immortality, that's the only way to counter it.
This is where we have come to the end of our podcast discussion. We're now in a pre-ramble state. Does anyone want to talk about anything else before we end it? Any takers?
I just hopefully we get those support reworked soon.
Oh, Mercy's getting reworked, by the way.
Who?
Mercy. Again.
As long as she keeps the movement, that's all I care about. As long as the movement's not touched, that's all I care about.
That's the rumor, though, that they're talking about messing with her movement again.
If they do, I actually will riot. I will, because leave her movement. I could care less if damage boost goes away. I could care less if res goes away. I could care less, like, they could just rework her to have her. My only issue with Mercy is that she's too reliant on teammates. I think, honestly, Mercy should amplify teammates, but then still be able to do her own thing. Like, on a Kitiko BAP, for example, they can do they help their team very well, but they can also do stuff on their own. So if they made Mercy like that, I'm fine. I just don't want her movement touched. Leave it. It's great right now. It's perfect. When a good Mercy gets the movement down pat and it works, it can be very good. But just don't touch her movement. That's all I care about.
Yeah, because right now Mercy's up there with Kiriko and Lucio.
Yeah, and I only think though it's because of Sojourn, because they nerfed it for it personally. That's the reason why. But season 1, everybody's like, she's dog shit. If she's dog shit, Sojourn gets quote unquote nerfed, but
this is where I think we shall end it. Thank you everyone tuning in. I am Cactus, and this has been Overclocked. Have a wonderful night.